the 47th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of June 2011. This episode is titled The Truth is in the Clouds. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, your cloud computing experts. I am your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me today for the 47th time, maybe for the 48th time next week, it's the co-host, co-founder, co-buddy, Justin Elstein. How are you doing, Justin?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Feeling truthiness?
Yes. Feel the truthiness.
We have a big agenda but a very few things. First, we're going to talk about iCloud and the new Apple release, the new Apple announcement. I wrote a blog post this week which kind of talk about the little bit of how it hurts and helps the cloud computing movement, as it were. Then Dreamforce 11, we got some social speakers. Talk about that and how that might affect the things and maybe where the direction is going. And then Summer 11 is out, or coming out. It's out for us. It's out for others probably tonight for some others. Don't have the full releases. Too many pods to keep a track of at this point. There's up to like NA 10, 11, 12 at this point. And then of course we'll end off with our Cloud app pick of the CloudFocus app pick of the week. See, it didn't roll off right off the tongue. So let's get going and talk about iCloud. You were with me as we streamed sort of the announcement from Apple. It's a long time coming. We've been talking about it for months now. The surprising thing is the thing that we've been talking about now kind of turned into the littlest thing, which was that there would be music in the cloud. Right? Out of all the announcements, I feel like that one says, okay, everybody else is doing that. You're doing it a little bit different, Apple, but you're doing it. So, let's start with the blog post because it's kind of start this in the conversation. So I started thinking about cloud computing and the use of cloud terminology and sort of what does Apple do versus the other sort of players. Now Apple's been in the cloud computing space for a long time with MobileMe. They even had an online, like an ISP. They had a version of sort of AOL. They had their own. I forgot what it's called, like Apple Center or Online Center or something.
There's .Mac too.
Well, .Mac was way after that. So they had their own ISP, like their own dial-up. You could dial up into Apple World.
Oh, like
I think maybe it's called
like
Apple World.
AOL.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Then they went into MobileMe or .Mac, which is interesting because .Mac became something that was .Mac was free. Then it became MobileMe and it became pay.
.Mac wasn't free.
Yes, it was. The original .Mac was.
Well, it wasn't after a while. Before it got to MobileMe.
You used to have a free email, free thing, and then it went to...
My MobileMe password or login ID is still at mac.com.
Yeah.
Not at me.com.
The Mac one they had was free for a long time. Then they started charging for about $99 a year. Then maybe they switched to MobileMe as a naming sake. And now it's coming back out, and it's been revamped. So the first big announcement, I guess, is that there's a new thing called iCloud, which will replace in totem MobileMe, and will have a lot of free features to it. So first off, the stuff that's sort of basic: mail, contacts, calendar, syncing to all devices all the time, happy, free, no ads, which is a big kind of shout out or FU to some of the other people out there who are putting out free email services, but no ads. This one will have no ads. Thoughts on it? Good? Keep your account?
Use it. Yeah, I mean, I use it. I pay for it, so I'm happy to have it for free.
Free is good.
Free is good. I mean, I will say I've had some serious issues with MobileMe and syncing. The email works great. No problem with that. The calendar works great. No problem with that. The contacts, not so well. I have, 3 main devices. I have my laptop, I have my iPhone, and I have my iPad. They're all connected through MobileMe, and the contacts are not the same across the 3 devices.
Yeah, I will say I've had that problem too. I fixed the problem, and once I fixed it once, it's been
I've tried to fix it, and it just breaks again. Really? So I stopped trying to fix it, and I just deal with it.
Just deal with it? Nice. Yeah. So, now you won't have to pay for it. You'll just be free. You'll be mad,
yeah,
but
because I'm like paying for something that's not quite working. But the mail works great. It works on the web. It works on my phone. It works on my laptop in Apple Mail or whatever else you might want to use. It works on the iPad. That part, it just works. Sure, it's email. It works.
So I guess I'll move off the sort of what's been announced because we'll get back to that in a second. But no, let's actually keep going. So they announced that. The other two things we're not going to talk about were the Lion and iOS 5. Not going to talk about them. Great stuff, great, but we're going to, it's not. This is not the iOS or the OS X podcast. So the other stuff they announced in the cloud. So they announced a product called PhotoStream, which is basically contact syncing or calendar syncing or syncing or email syncing for photos, in that you take a photo on one device and it syncs to every other device instantly.
The crux of what we're going to be talking about and all these features is the image that they put up during the keynote of the cord being cut with a scissor. Essentially, Apple's taking the approach that you have data and you want it wherever you are, and we're going to put it there. Yep. Whether it's a photo,
and we're putting it there wirelessly.
Yeah, without a cord. It's just going to be there.
Well, you just said something that isn't true. You said it's a photo, it's a move. No, they never said movies are going to sync wirelessly across all devices.
They said they said music.
Music. There's
not movies.
There's a difference.
There is a difference.
If it were movies, I would have been very happy because although again, I think that brings up the same problem we were just discussing before the podcast, which is what happens if my Mac has tons of space on it, and we all talk about our Drobos, and I have 4-something terabytes. Great, I can download as many movies as I want. I have hundreds and hundreds of movies. But my iPad can't handle that. And if I went to buy 5 new movies on my iTunes and just said, quick, give me 5 new movies, and they went to go try to put on my iPad, well, my iPad would blow up because it couldn't handle 5 HD movies at 3 or 4 gigs each. So they didn't talk about that. They did talk about Photos now as a new service that will sync. They're going to keep 1,000. It'll sync to all the devices, including Apple TV. It'll sync automatically. Great. I think it's great for I know the people in my life who use iPhoto for taking, or to use their iPhone for taking photos. They always think, "Oh, how do I get them back?" And I'm like, "Great, it'll just happen. They'll show up in your iPhoto, and you'll be happy. They'll show up on your iPad. They'll show up somewhere else.
They'll show up in your Photos folder your PC."
Also, again, not really a cloud-based thing, but iTunes will sync wirelessly now, so it won't sync through the cloud, but it'll sync. So all your movies and your podcasts and all that will move over via wirelessly when your computer's at home and plugged in, and your device is plugged in. So if you have your device in its little cradle at night when you're sleeping, it'll be going back and forth saying, "Oh, I'll take over the latest podcast, latest episode of CloudFocus Weekly." It'll come over to your device. That's cool. Other stuff. Well, I guess the other 2 things that they announced, I didn't think were sort of big ones, but apps, books, and let's leave documents off, but apps and books. So if you buy books on one thing, they're going to sync wirelessly across. Okay, great. You buy apps on one device, they're going to sync wirelessly. And then music. If you buy music on one device, they will sync wirelessly. That feature is actually out now. So if you have the latest version of iTunes and the latest version of iOS on your iPad or iPhone or iTouch, you can use that feature now. We actually turned it on, and it allows you to do 2 cool things. One is that you can actually buy an album literally on your iTunes and then watch it instantly download to all 3 devices at the same time. I did it. I held them up. I watched. I rebought Lady Gaga because iTunes Cloud failed me, and it would come down.
Amazon Cloud failed you.
Amazon Cloud failed me. Yeah, it would come down to my iTunes, and then instantly I'd start seeing it sync down to both, not sync, but download again to both my iPad and an iPhone at the same time. So basically creating 3 copies, which is what would have happened if I had sunk it. The theory there, I guess, is, listen, if you buy an album, you want to listen to that song, so why should I have to sync it over there? I wonder how they're going to deal with conflicts. Like, I just bought an album, it's sunk down to 3 devices, now my iTunes is going to sync wirelessly at night. Is it going to know, I assume it's going to know, hey, that's supposed to be over there, don't take it off.
Oh, well, it'll be in all 3 places, so it's not going to take it off.
Well, but what happens if I have my iTunes set to never sync music?
Then it probably won't get there in the first place.
No, it would, because I'm not, remember, one is telling it when I purchase it I want to push there. The other one's saying when I sync what device I want to sync with, or what I want to sync. Or I could say, I only want to sync this one album ever in iTunes, right? I have one album, I've chosen that album, and that's the album I sync back and forth. But then I buy something and it flows down to my iPhone.
Where do you buy it?
On iTunes.
Then it's not going to flow down.
Yeah, it would.
I don't think it would.
Oh. Well, these are scenarios that I think that Apple is going to have I've put in a lot of information because, as we always say, syncing is hard. This is some complex stuff through the cloud, through iTunes, and then you're basically syncing to two places that are not the same. One is your iTunes library, and one is the cloud. Those are not the same. So
I like that you're going to have the physical file on the device.
Well,
I've always not been a fan of the music streaming service because of the subway.
Although you love Pandora more than life.
Different scenario. Pandora, I don't own anything in Pandora. Don't care that I can't get to it on the subway. It's not my music. But if I own music and I'm putting it up somewhere so I can get to it from anywhere, but then I can't get to it in the subway, which is where I listen to music,
right?
Then I don't appreciate that.
This is a great way. It is opposite of what Amazon and Google Music are doing, in that, yes, you're not streaming back your music. So I've started uploading all my music to Google Music just to give it a shot. I'm thinking about a blog post in the future about comparing the three, but
it failed.
Well, no, it's still syncing, and it does take weeks. And this is what Steve said in the announcement, which was, if we're gonna sync all your stuff up, it's gonna take a long time. But what Apple's doing differently, and the other two are not, is allowing you to sort of download it. I think what they need to add to it to make it the killer is also stream, because there's the case where I bought the Lady Gaga album, and I'm sitting here in the office on Wi-Fi. I don't want to have to download it just to listen to it. Let me stream it.
I did that yesterday.
Right.
We were sitting here, and I bought an album at home, and I said, "Oh, I just bought that album, and I really want to listen to it, and it's not on my iPhone. Darn!" And you were like, "That feature is actually out now."
And I blew your mind.
You did. I was like, "Wow, that's on my phone."
And it sounded
excellent.
like this.
It did, just like that. So I downloaded the album from the iCloud, which was great, but it did take like 10 to 15 minutes to get down to my device over Wi-Fi.
Right.
And yesterday
so
I did
if you're
sort
on
of the
your
same...
way to the subway, you would get an album, or you get a song.
You might get a song, but I did the same thing yesterday with an app. I have Pages. I had bought it originally when it came out for the iPad. So I went on my iPhone and was in the store, and because I wanted to update some of my applications, and I went to update them, and then I saw the Purchases tab, so I clicked on it. I was like, oh, look at all these apps that are like not on the phone.
Right.
And I just popped Pages onto the phone. Not that I'll ever use Pages on the phone because it's just too small, but it was interesting to get it there.
Well, let's talk about that in a second. Let's finish off the iTunes thing. So iTunes, the new feature, it'll sync everything. As you purchase, it'll download to all your devices. If you have it turned on for those devices, great. The add to that is, okay, well, what happens about all these CDs I've been ripping for 10 years, which I stopped ripping about 6 years ago, but I'm thinking now's the time to start ripping again, because Apple's going to put out a product called iTunes Match that for $24.99 a year, perpetual, it will look through your iTunes library. This is basically la for those of us who've been following the conversation. It'll look through your iTunes library, upload the IDs of all the music you have, right? The unique identifiers of all this music, your Milli Vanilli album that you have, and it'll say, listen, we have Milli Vanilli up here, you have Milli Vanilli there. We don't need you to upload it to allow you access to it, meaning to allow you to send it down to another device, or I'm hoping very soon to stream it, right? You get access to it. Anything that we don't have, you can upload. But you can have up to 20,000 songs that you didn't buy through iTunes, through the original iTunes, which to this point I have not bought things through iTunes in like years. So for me, I have about 1,000 songs that I can download right now because I've been buying things through iTunes for so long. But for all those other songs, then they give you the 256 better, higher quality AAC version of it. I don't know if it then replaces the version you have. I doubt it. That would be kind of weird. Or if it just allows you to download it to another device at that new higher res.
I don't know. I wonder how they're going to... Yeah, I'm going to pay for it. Because I have music that is in my iTunes from ripped things.
The Milli Vanilli remix album.
Milli Vanilli comeback remix album.
Yep.
What's going to be interesting is how they use that data to expand on their catalog. So I know myself and my girlfriend in particular listens to a lot of indie music. So not a whole lot of music that you might find even in iTunes.
Right.
She has a lot of albums that aren't in iTunes, and she buys them on vinyl. So when you buy them on vinyl, you get a free download of the album.
Right.
So instead of, trying to find it online, she buys the record, and then instead of, buying a CD and ripping it, she buys the record and then downloads the copy that they give you, which is awesome. You have the vinyl, the hard thing you want to listen to on your record player. Great.
Right.
You get the download too, and then that goes into her iTunes. I have a feeling a lot of that stuff's not going to be...
18 million songs.
That'll be the upload piece.
Right.
I wonder if they will see, wow, look, X amount of people have uploaded this album, or it's been one person uploaded it, so then we got to use it for these other X amount of people. Not sure how they're going to do that. Maybe we should add this to our catalog, and maybe that'll be good for artists.
They don't add things to their catalog. What they would do is say, this is an artist. This artist is done by this publishing house. Let's go talk to that publishing house.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
We'll add, this is something of interest for, more than one person.
Or go to those publishing houses and say, hey, listen, do you know in the last year that 20,000 people have uploaded your song to iTunes? That means they're using iTunes. That means you should be putting your stuff out there because you'll be selling more. So yeah, that's definitely I could definitely see that. So you would buy it right off day one, $24.99.
$24.99. I'm already paying $100 for the Mobile Me service, which is I'm getting for free. So I'm up $75.
There you go. 4 years from now you'll be even.
Well, I mean, I pay the $100 a year, so
that's true.
It's not like you get that for free.
That's true.
You pay for it every year.
So then one of the other things that I think is interesting and sort of changes, again, this will lead into what Apple is doing in the cloud versus others are doing, but they're doing documents in the cloud, and not in the way that Jungle Disk does documents, or iDisk does documents, or even Google Apps does documents. They're doing it in a syncing way, meaning I'm sitting in Pages, and they're going to release this API for other devices or other applications. I'm sitting in Pages on my Mac. I'm typing away, blah, 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 I'm making some great document. And I don't have to save it anymore because Line doesn't need me to save, so I just close out. Instantly, that is sent up to the cloud, the changes, and then that Pages document is then sent down instantly to my other two devices. I assume that I've told them that I want that to happen. I think that's where it gets a little muddy. Like, is that for every document? Is that for some documents? If I'm working on 300 documents in Pages, are they all then sent to all devices? It gets kind of strange. But in theory, with one document, it always looks good. So then on my iPhone where I have Pages, and on my iPad where I have Pages, that document shows up instantly and is there. And if I walk out the house immediately, I can sit and play with it in the cab on the way to to our customer, and then as I get there, I open up my laptop and it's back on this one. So it's sort of, what's interesting is it's taking away the thing that all the other cloud computing vendors are doing, which is allowing you to access your stuff online, and that's where you do the work. The application is online. Salesforce application is online. Google Apps are online. That's where they are. Yeah, they give you ways to send things down, but basically if you want to access CRM, you go to salesforce.com. If you want to access your Google Apps or even your I guess email would be the bad example, but it basically is there. That's where you do your work. And so you just need to have an access from a browser to do that. Apple's saying, no, there's no even online version of Pages. There's no way to do that online. You can do it with the apps you own, and we'll sync it all across, but we're basically using the iCloud as a sync mechanism, not so much as an application mechanism. And I think this is, and going to the article I wrote, or the blog post, at least I didn't call it a podcast.
No. I was waiting for you to call it a podcast.
How Apple helps and hurts with iCloud. And I think the big one for the help is that Apple can take any concept, and they've done this with many concepts, including the iPod, or even the iPad, which, if you talk to people about tablet computing and MP3 music players and smartphones, their eyes start rolling in their head. General people, moms, pops, even friends, whatever. You talk to people about iPods, iPads, and iPhones, they have a concept of what that does, and they're excited about it, whereas those other things sound kind of geeky and stupid. Like a tablet computer, I don't need a tablet computer. Ooh, but I want that new iPad. right? There's this sense of it, and Apple is a great way of taking these concepts and boiling them down to an iDevice or an iName.
Yeah, they put an I in front of something.
But they spend millions of dollars in marketing to make it have intrinsic value that you feel about an iPad or an iMac or an iPod came from their millions of dollars of marketing, and they do it well enough to make it very simple. They simplify the concept. And I'm excited that they're going to take something that's cloud computing and put it iCloud and make it into this very simple thing, so people kind of go, I need that iCloud. It's going to do good stuff for me.
I need the cloud.
I need iCloud. In the flip it around, so they give, it'll give a lot to the cloud computing sort of movement and push it forward in a very consumer-based way, which I think is good, right? Because consumer-wise, it hasn't been, enterprises, businesses, great, they're getting it.
If you just take email out of the equation.
But people, if you said your email's in the cloud, they'd be, no, my email's on my device. What are you talking about, right?
Well, no, most people are, my email's in my browser.
In my browser, but they wouldn't say that's a cloud computer. That's not a virtually hosted environment with one version that is, multi-tenancy. They wouldn't say that. So, but I think this is
that's how I usually explain cloud computing to people. By the way, I say you use it, you use your email, and then I sort of go from there.
Go backwards.
Well, like when I'm at a family event, they're like, "Oh, how's your business doing?"
That cloud thing.
Doing well. What is it that you guys do again? Oh, and I have to explain it, and I start off by
sighing very loudly.
Yes,
okay.
and then
does that help?
Sometimes they just leave me alone. And then
I'll have to tell the head of our sales that that's what he do.
And then I start with email. Basically, I'm like, we help companies set up applications, kind of like your email. You use Gmail, Uncle Ronnie, and
Uncle Ronnie a real person?
No.
Oh, okay.
And then I explain the concepts using email as kind of my big example.
And generally, what you're talking about, there's an application on the internet that you use that houses data that's where you access it, and that's sort of cloud computing. Again, it's not, but it is. It's a way of getting them there.
Good enough for them.
This is where I flipped to where I think Apple is hurting this situation is they're kind of not using the cloud for a way to host applications, for you to do stuff, for you to be productive, for you to enter in data, for you to pull out data. They're using the cloud as a big syncing device.
I would tend to disagree with the last statement you made. I think I'm pulling data out of this cloud.
You're not
pretty sure I am.
Can you go to a browser and type in and hit?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to my iPad and saying I want that song. Pull data from cloud.
You're using a browser to do that?
I'm using an application that talks to the cloud.
An application.
There is absolutely nothing
uncloud
about that.
But you're using an app. Actually, there is. You're using an application to sync data down and display it and use it in a third-party application.
I am pretty sure the folks at Salesforce who wrote the Flex and Adobe Air toolkit would disagree with you wholeheartedly.
They might. But that's not the cloud. That's not the cloud platform that they go out and talk about. They don't say, you know what you can do with our cloud. You can write all these applications you throw on your desktop that have version numbers and that have all these different things. No, they talk about when you access our application, it's one application.
So Chatter Desktop, not
Chatter. They're off their thing. And Chatter Desktop, I don't know exactly.
Salesforce
how it works.
Mobile.
Yeah.
On my iPhone.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing up many examples of this.
Yeah, those
where applications are back-ended by cloud services.
But percentage usage, and their mainstay, the main usage, just like Gmail, the main usage, and I will bet lots of money that the main usage of Salesforce is through the browser, through a login screen.
I am pretty sure the main usage of Salesforce is through their API.
Where is the version of iTunes you can log into on a web from a Linux computer? And log into iTunes online and access and stream your music.
You just change the conversation.
No, I'm saying that they're not providing, unlike the other cloud computing people like Amazon, Google, Salesforce, whatever. It starts with a browser. You can get to it from the internet.
But I think that that's a fallacy.
No, it's not.
Well, Salesforce will tell you more than 50% of their transactions are through their API, not through somebody clicking around in the browser. Which is to say that you can push and pull data to this thing in the cloud, which is managing all the logic and the services. I don't think that that's all too different from what Amazon Cloud Services provides.
So are you going to be able to get to, for these other cloud computing services, you can get to it from different browsers, from different vendors. It doesn't matter if you're using Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, IE.
Well, think about Twitter for a second.
Hold on, wait a second.
Okay.
You can log in. Twitter's a good example. You can log into Salesforce and use Salesforce. You can log in and use Google Music. You can log in and use Amazon Cloud Services. All those devices.
I get that completely.
So
but that doesn't define the fact that I can log in through a browser and use the application does not define the fact that it's a cloud computing thing.
But it is one of the powers of the cloud computing.
One of the powers, certainly.
Is one of the biggest things that we talk to organizations is you're not hosting applications that need to do certain work. You don't have to worry that you're on iTunes 10.3 to do this. You can just be using your Safari or whatever. That's part of what we talk about in the power of cloud computing. And what I'm saying is that Apple, in the way that they're hurting this a little bit, is they're not doing that. They're using the cloud as a huge syncing device, powerful, data flowing back and forth, great. But they're saying you got to be on this version of this thing that we control, that we produce. You got to be on our device using, and I'm the biggest Mac fan on the planet. Well, maybe not the planet. There's probably a few others. I might be top 3. But this is the thing that when they start to get into cloud computing, I start to look at it like, oh, okay, interesting. It's locked to your devices. It's locked to your applications on your devices, and there is no other access to it. There's no way to get to iDocuments or syncing of documents through the browser. Nope. If you're on Linux, no, you're not using it. You can use Google Music on Linux. Fine, stream your music, listen to it all you want. You can use Pandora. They have a web-based version of it. Apple is basically using the cloud in this mega center down in North Carolina as a massive data syncing mechanism between their devices and applications that they control, which need to have the right versions of to do, which is it's not coinciding with most of what cloud computing is doing, is making it not application specific, not locked into platforms, not locked into certain devices, right? That's my point.
Okay. I mean, I disagree with some of the statements that you make.
Well,
and I've already said what I
do. You understand that it is a locked It's a locked cloud.
Sure, it is. It's locked into Apple devices that run certain software on those devices, which will in the future be updated over the air, so you won't have to necessarily worry about that. But I don't see. It's not necessarily a false cloud. It is up there, and it is working. It is working in a way that a lot of other cloud computing platforms work. It has an API. It will allow other applications to talk to it.
Yep. And
it will do what it does.
Right, but it's locked into devices and specific applications. Not even one specific. You could say that Salesforce is locked into one specific application, the browser, and that there are versions of the browser they support. And they don't support every browser, so you can't use Netscape 0.19 or 0.91, and you can't use Google Chrome
IE5
or IE5 or IE6, maybe not even IE7, IE6. So you could say that they are locked into one thing. But beyond that browser, which we're trying to say, which what cloud computing likes to say is the browser is pretty ubiquitous. An iPhone, a $600 iPhone running the latest version of the iOS, running Pages, which is a $699 application, that's pretty specific. That's not open. That's not an open platform. That's a very closed platform. Again, huge Apple fanboy, love it, can't wait to use it, and I like that they're doing the things that others aren't doing, which is the syncing, because I think syncing makes the cloud stuff even better in that, again, music is with me, not just something I can get to if I can get to the internet. But anyway, so that's what I was talking about, how it hurts and helps in the blog post. I think we've said much more here than I did in the blog post, but if you want to read the blog post, it's at blog.arkusinc.com. All right. So, we beat the cloud to the death. Anything else about the iCloud announcements? There's so much.
I mean, there's some cool stuff with the iOS. More specifically, they're tightly integrating Twitter into the OS, which is going to be interesting. I mean, it's also interesting they didn't do Facebook, but they did Twitter.
So a rumor came out today that they showed someone was looking at the new beta release of iOS, and they found lots of hooks for Facebook, LinkedIn, and one other, MySpace.
So they're definitely going to go social with this phone and allow you to, from really anywhere, like the browser, there's like a built-in, tweet this.
Yep.
Kind of
Photos.
things that you could have hacked around and used like JavaScript bookmarks to do, but
basically you're going to authenticate at the
OS level, and all apps can essentially then tie to that and use that.
Which,
speaking of social,
yes,
let's move to our next topic, which is Dreamforce 11.
Yes,
and
that's
the
very
announcement
social.
of industry visionaries from across the social spectrum. I watched the CloudForce Washington D.C. keynote, and a lot of it I watched it live streaming on the internet.
Did you have to use some sort of specific device to
No, but it was a little clunky. It was skipping a lot. I guess a lot of people were watching it. They had 2 channels too, and I was jumping between them. But a lot of it was really about shifting gears and moving to this social enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Benioff, Mr. Mark Benioff, was talking a lot about social, and it makes sense. They've rolled out a social platform, a collaboration platform, Chatter.
I've heard of this.
Yes, and they have the agreement with Toyota to build the internal, or the social network, if you will. And now they've purchased Radian 6, and they integrate with Seismic. So they have a lot of things social going on, and I think they are trying to be the visionaries for what is a social enterprise. They're going to be doing a whole track at Dreamforce, and they have some of our favorites. Gary Vaynerchuk will be speaking during the social enterprise track, the social roadmap, if you will. So they're going to have a social roadmap that helps you kick off your social strategy, get inspiration for how to turn your enterprise into an enterprise that leverages social platforms, how to do this, how you might want to go about it,
Nice.
How you might want to map it out, and then I assume here's some technologies to help you out, right?
Right.
Here's Twitter and Facebook for Salesforce. Here's Radian 6.
So
Here's Chatter. Here's this. Here's
let me
that.
throw it to the rumor mill.
Throw it.
So
Throw it in
Facebook and Twitter integration right now are downloadable App Exchange products, correct?
Correct.
Would you say rumor mill is that in the next release, in the fall release, or they call it the winter release in the fall, that will no longer be the case, that they will be absolutely included in? Because it seems to me the big jump is we have a lot of experience of installing applications, and there are some good ones and there's some bad ones, and there can be some real downsides of installing stuff that's managed or not managed, and stuff can happen, just like installing any application. But I'm waiting for them to say, this is just like Apple just did with iOS, say this is not longer something you can add. This is a core part. We are going to integrate Facebook and Twitter directly into Salesforce from the get.
My take is that it should be. A lot like Jigsaw. It took them a while, but Jigsaw went from a App Exchange application that you would install to now in this newest Summer 11 release being GA. There's a Jigsaw tab in your Salesforce.
Right.
Open it up, you'll see the Jigsaw tab.
And get some licenses.
Yeah. But essentially, I feel like it should be. I mean, they're on version 4 of this thing. The hard part is likely the people who are using it now as the installed package. How do we get them from that to this new? Because I would assume they would change some things probably if it was part of the core platform. How do we get people from one to the other? That could probably be a challenge. But they keep upgrading. They're on, like I said, version 4 of the Salesforce for Twitter. Version 4 now includes Facebook. And it really should be part of the core. You shouldn't have to go to the App Exchange and download a package to get this and go through a configuration and get this whole thing to work. It should sort of be set up, and you should certainly have to configure it to do what you need it to do, but it should be a little easier than that. And it really should be part of the really part of the platform, so that you get support on it, so that if something's not working, it's Salesforce's problem, not yours, for installing something that's unsupported.
Yep.
Or free, that a lot of the time they don't support. That's my take on it. I'm excited about this new social roadmap track at Dreamforce. I'm really excited to see Gary Vaynerchuk in particular I'm also excited to see Vivek Kundra, the CIO of the United States of America.
That's kind of cool.
Which is pretty awesome. He's the guy who, when Obama came into office, he came in with him and said, government agencies, if you want to build apps, you must look at the cloud first and give me an excuse for why you're not using it. Otherwise, I'm not funding you. So that is pretty neat, pretty cool. And I think Obama has one of the more interesting social strategies for a candidate of anyone out there, and I'm sure Mr. Kundra had something to do with that.
In fact, we just had a colleague of ours move over to help out his Salesforce stuff. Not a colleague.
Not a colleague.
A peer of ours was hired to help run his Salesforce stuff. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm very excited. Gary Vee is, I heard about him years and years ago as I started watching video podcasts, and he was, I'm not saying the first video podcast. They have him on
Diggnation.
They had him
That's where I heard of him.
They had him on Diggnation a lot, but he became a big social thing. I've read now both of his books. I will say I read
Crush It, and I stopped reading the Thank You Economy. Because it just seemed repetitive for me.
He has a deal to write 8 books.
Wow, they're all going to be the same.
Yeah, and I'm kind of figuring. I'm sorry, Gary Vee, if we meet at Dreamforce. This is Justin talking. I kind of feel like he should have written made a deal for 3 books, and because those first 2, if you merge them together, they would have been 1 book.
Well, I read the first one on an iPad app called the Vook.
Yeah,
which was very interesting.
Don't swear at me.
I'm not.
All right.
It was like Gary Vee videos embedded inside of this book that you're reading. It's an app. And that was cool because he's super energetic, and just reading him in his voice and his energy, and then watching a video, you get that voice in your head and his energy, and it sort of rolls, and you get to read the book that way. He's definitely going to be an extremely good speaker. I've watched some of his speeches or talks online. He's really energetic. He curses.
Yes, he does.
It's
not like this podcast. His podcast should all be, and he's big into podcasting and blogging and social. Again, not that I'm apparently I'm gonna get hit when I don't know. Is he a big guy? Or is he a little guy?
He doesn't seem that big.
He looks like a little guy. But I will say I subscribe to a couple of his podcasts, and they never get updated. Like his video podcast never, not the Wine TV one. The Wine TV one's fine. But the other ones about his talks, and he gets on, does little moments, they never get updated. They never come down as podcast, so it kind of disappoints me. I liked his first book. I thought his second book was good. They could have been combined in one book, I feel, and been, I guess, excellent. But can't wait to hear him speak. And hopefully we can get away from our booth long enough, because we're in the process of picking our booth space for Dreamforce 11, which is kind of fun. So those of you who are listening and fans of the Arkus and going to Dreamforce, we'll be somewhere.
Maybe we'll have the snowball.
That's how you'll know.
The snowball's the mic. Maybe we'll have it out. Maybe we'll do some podcasting from the floor.
I think we might try to do that.
We might need a noise filter.
And then the last thing, which we could cover, let's cover now quickly, because I think someone's going to blog about it soon.
I will probably blog about this.
And we'll probably recover it once everybody has a version. But
so this will be a sneak preview for a blog post that I haven't written yet.
There you go. So Summer 11 it's coming out.
It's out in our org.
And the
Arkus org.
So give me 2 favorite features.
Oh, I picked 4.
Well,
I put 4.
In the Google Wave?
In the Google Wave, I put 4.
I will read the other 2.
Well, fine. I will take the first 2 that I wrote, because those are my 2 favorites. First favorite, Chatter Favorites. This is a great feature. So if you click on a Chatter topic, or if you do a search and you're in the Chatter feed search results, you can bookmark that or favorite it, and then that favorite will show up on the Chatter tab on the left as one of your favorites, and you can always go back there, click it, and it'll rerun the search. It's sort of like a saved search for you, and it'll bring back results in real time of that topic or that search string that you put in there, and I think that's a great idea. I love it.
That is a good idea.
I love that. I've always been a fan of saved search or RSS feeds of searches, so that's sort of what this is. I really like it. My second favorite feature is the report builder got some upgrades.
Yep.
So a few things about the report builder. I'll just mention one thing that I really liked, which was the ability to specifically add and remove multiple columns or fields at one time. It used to really bother me that I couldn't just grab like 6 fields and drag them onto the report. Now you can do that, and you can also move them around, multiples. Move them around, drag them around the columns.
Oh, nice.
So it makes that a lot better. It also, just to tack on a small little other thing about the report builder, loads a lot faster.
Yes.
Because it's doing the preview thing sort of in a different, sort of asynchronously. That's not affecting the rest of the page. Right. So some good stuff there.
All right, I would say 2. I'm going to pick 2. One that you picked, which I haven't started using because I'm not used to it being available, which is the quick find in setup. Right, so now there's a little find search thing in setup area, and you can start typing, and it'll basically rebuild the navigation with the term that you're searching for, which is great because because we're Salesforce consultants and we deal with this stuff almost every single day of our life. We know where things are, but there are times when you're like, is that under this tab or this tab or that tab?
Is that under company information or is that under data storage?
Yeah, it looks, and it's really well done. I really love it. The other one that I would put out that's not on your list is Chatter. Let's call it Chatter. It's not Chatterlytics, but it's Chatter Profile Stats, which is now on the profile page right underneath your name. You have how many posts and comments you have, how many comments received, and how many likes received. So a little bit more of the social networking thing, which actually isn't even really in like things like Facebook. You have that in Twitter. You can see how many I posted, how many friends, whatever. But this is
how
sort
many
of
lists you're in.
Yeah, so this kind of gives you a little view. I wish there would be more in reporting. I wish I could sort of show everybody's thing, but it's kind of neat. Kind of shows up underneath your little picture. And then I'm actually going to do a tip of the hat, wave of the finger, which is a Colbert Report thing for the Colbert films, Stephen Colbert. Yeah, so he does tip of the hat and then wave of the finger. Tip of the hat's a good thing, wave of the finger's a bad thing. So they announced that they put in a new feature, which is the unresolved items link that is right now under your shortcuts. You've always been able to add a shortcut to your calendar on the side and then side navigation. And as of Summer 11, something else shows up there, which is unresolved items. And it's this little icon of a sort of a warning hazard icon that you would see if someone were stranded.
Or if someone was building their website in 1996 and it was under construction.
A little guy with a little digger thing. If you got an animated one, that was good. And then it says unresolved items. And I first logged in, and it actually it's similar to the one that showed up in my task list last release that says unresolved tasks. Apparently, or unresolved emails. Apparently, that was too low and too out of our face. And so they decided to put it up really in our face. Shortcuts right there, unresolved items. Great. I clicked on it. I found some of my unresolved items. I found a couple emails I hadn't associated because I was using email to Salesforce. And I was like, great, that's great. I can't wait to see that. So I checked them all. There's 3 tabs in there. I was gone. I came back to the home page, and it's still there with this little icon that looks like there's something really bad going on. I'm like, oh man, maybe I missed something. Click on it again. Go to the 3 tabs. Nothing there. I'm like, maybe I got to log out. I log out, log back in. Still there. It's always there. It's not there based on whether there's actually unresolved items. Whoever in the user testing should have pointed out that when you have something that's a warning sign that says there are unresolved items under a link, there better be unresolved items under that link. That is bad UI design. Bad people. Love Salesforce, bad UI design. Already put up an ID exchange on it. Find it. It's actually the one that's from the other one. I might just change it to include that one because it's the same on the task list. It just said unresolved emails, and you click on it.
That was there in the last release, so you must not have noticed it then.
No, I did. I put in an ID exchange to remove it.
Get rid of it when there's nothing in it.
Yeah,
right.
And now, but this one's worse because it's more in your face. It's in a place that's more prominent, and it has an icon that makes it look like there's something bad going on. So that's it. So that's a few. We'll talk about them more. There's a bunch of others. We'll talk about them we might do a full podcast on it, maybe the week after next. But for now, let's get on to our CloudFocus app picks of the week. So quickly, because we've taken about 45 minutes to talk.
We should do this fast then.
All right.
So I'm picking the Dreamforce connector by Redkite. Folks
nice.
at Redkite, who we know. They built this is actually, I don't think it's new, it's fairly new, a LinkedIn connector that brings in, sort of reads in the LinkedIn data into a Visualforce component that you can put on a page layout. So when you're looking at a contact, it allows you to find that contact inside of LinkedIn. You connect it, and then once it's connected, every time you look at that contact within Salesforce, you see their LinkedIn profile within a section. Really neat, free. Just installed it for one of our clients the other day who wanted to see LinkedIn data on the page, and I said, all right, I think there's a product out there for this. I went and found it on the App Exchange, tested it a little bit, worked really well, installed it, works great. Find it on the App Exchange.
Free
for all.
I had 2 picks. I'm just gonna do one quickly because we're running out of time.
Wonderful.
And I'll pick the free one. I'm not gonna pick the one that I'm watching someone else use.
So not the one that's on the Google Wave.
Not the one's on the Google Wave. I'm picking another one. See, you could have used it then, but we've already used it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use have you heard about this one?
I don't know. It's not on the Wave.
It's a Google Chrome extension called the Salesforce.com ID Clipper.
The ID Clipper. Yeah, isn't that the one that takes like 15 character IDs or 18 character IDs and clips them down to 15 or something?
Absolutely
like that?
not.
Oh, it's a different thing?
It's a little ID clipper that's a Google Chrome extension that when you're in Salesforce, and it knows when you're logged in Salesforce, and you are on an ID, so on something that has a Salesforce ID, it puts a little, next to the star where you could bookmark, it puts a little clipper thing, and then you can click on it. I think they have it, there's a key command for it, and it'll basically just copy just the ID, so then you can go use it somewhere else.
That's useful.
Very useful. It's free. It's by, I think it's Gokubi, who is,
he's connected to the
If People?
No, his real name is, I can't remember if that's Steve Anderson or not, but he's a developer for the Salesforce Foundation.
Oh, okay. No, not.
If it's Gokubi, then that's who it is.
Okay, so I think we'll have to go back, but I think he's also been involved in Plone work. Rings a bell, but maybe not. Anyway, Salesforce ID Clipper by Gokubi. Free, and good stuff. So that about wraps up our CloudFocus podcast of the week. Again, I already talked about blog.arkusinc.com where you can find the article. Not as much commentary as you find on the podcast, but if you want to hear some more of our podcasting, go to iTunes where you can subscribe to the CloudFocus Weekly Podcast and leave a review there. That would be great. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/ArkusInc. And then the company is at twitter.com/ArkusInc. I'm at twitter.com/Jason M. Atwood. And Justin here is at twitter.com/JustEdelstein. All of which can be found on the blog, all of which can be found on all the other social networks. We're even on LinkedIn, but it's some weird URL that you can't find. So, so until next week, until I guess we talk to you again, and maybe we'll have more news and more summer release and other things to talk about. Enjoy those iCloudy days.